Cary Grant was prized for his suave, sophisticated style and for his distinct manner of speaking, moving, and dressing. He was a high-class man oozing with class. But if you take a closer look, you'll notice he spoke with a slight working-class accent. He was also surprisingly adept at physical comedy. The former had to do with his humble English origins, while the latter likely had a lot to do with his years spent working as a member of a comic acrobatic troupe in music halls on the vaudeville circuit. Join Facts First as we discuss how Cary Grant had a strange job before he was famous. Humble beginnings. Cary Grant was born Archibald Leach. He was born in Bristol, England in 1904 to a drunk father and emotionally abusive, mentally ill mother. At 9, Leach was informed his mom was away for arrest. In reality, she was in a sanitarium, but young Archie didn't learn the truth about that until 1935. By that time, he'd already been transformed into the famous film star Cary Grant. In his youth, he worked as a production assistant at various theaters in Bristol. In 1917, as an early teen, he joined Bob Pender's Knockabout Comedians troupe. The company toured Britain's provinces for the next couple years. In 1920, he boarded a cargo ship called the Olympic to perform in America. The comedy troupe opened at New York City's Hippodrome in a revue called Good News. The show ran for 9 months. Unfortunately, there's very little photographic record of Grant's early acrobatic days, but there is this great photo of Grant with the Pender troupe that we found in the Billy Rose collection at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts. Archie Leach, aka Cary Grant, can be seen in the bottom right. Grant hardly ever got the chance to display his range of skills on camera, but this screenshot from the movie Holiday shows him doing a backflip. After performing their final show, Pender returned to the United Kingdom, but Leach chose to stay. He found work stilt walking at Coney Island. He next appeared in the sequel to Good News, Better Times, at the Hippodrome with a few fellow Pender performers. Billed as The Walking Strangers, the troupe did a vaudeville act in 1924. He then joined the National Vaudeville Artists Club, where he made himself available as a substitute. He was known for juggling, unicycling, acrobatics, comic sketches, and his ability to be a fantastic straight man. During those years, he became close friends with Burns and Allen. By studying Burns and Zeppo Marx, who were known as being some of the top straight men in the industry, he learned to hone his ability. In the late 20s, he began to move into the arena of musical comedy. In 1927, he was cast in the Hammerstein musical Golden Dawn. In 1929, he appeared in Lee and J.J. Schubert's Boom Boom with Jeanette MacDonald. It was then that his good friend and colleague, Fay Wray, went off to Hollywood to star in King Kong. Ray was able to convince Grant to make that move out west in late 1931. He then signed with Paramount and adopted the stage name Cary Grant, or more accurately, the identity was carefully crafted for him. This video is sponsored by ZBiotics. ZBiotics is a probiotic drink that helps you feel better the day after drinking. Many people think dehydration is responsible for that morning after feeling, but it's actually due to an alcohol byproduct that builds up in the gut. ZBiotics produces an enzyme specifically to break down this byproduct and reduce the after effects of alcoholic beverages. This is real science that works, not random vitamins and plant extracts like everything else. And ZBiotics is so easy to use. Just drink a bottle of ZBiotics before your first drink of alcohol. You only need 1 bottle. Then drink responsibly, pace yourself, and get a good night's sleep. Thanks to ZBiotics, you can enjoy your next day feeling refreshed and ready to make the most of it. Every time I have ZBiotics before drinking, I am amazed at how good I feel the next day. With the holiday season upon us, consider gifting ZBiotics to give the gift of a better next morning. It's unique, thoughtful, and under $40. If you use the code FACTSFIRST at checkout, you can get an extra 15% off your first order. Click the link in the description or go to zbiotics.com/factsfirst and get 15% off. The making of a star. In 1931, Grant was offered the lead romantic role in a musical called Nicky. With that production, he starred alongside Fay Wray as a soldier in post-World War I France. The show only ran 39 performances before getting canceled due to the Great Depression. Grant's performance was heavily praised by Ed Sullivan of the New York Daily News. Sullivan noted that Grant, whom he referred to as a young lad from England, quote, had a big future in the movies. This role and Sullivan's glowing review led him to appear in Paramount's 1931 short film Singapore Sue. After that, he had another successful screen test with Marion Garing. This led to him being offered a contract with Paramount for $450 a week, which was a fairly large sum considering it was the Great Depression. He immediately set out to establish himself as the epitome of masculine glamour. He looked to Douglas Fairbanks as his first Hollywood role model. It might be hard to imagine, but Cary Grant's early appearances in cinema were widely panned. One casting director even passed on him due to his bow-legged walk and thick neck. But a few years later, after he was cast opposite Meg West in She Done Him Wrong, Hollywood seemed to change his mind. For that film, he was billed as being the top flight of box office names. Not long after, he got married. In 1934, he and actress Virginia Cherrill eloped not long after meeting at a party. The couple were married for 7 months before parting ways. Throughout the second half of the 1930s, Grant established himself as one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men. He often starred in light-hearted comedies like His Girl Friday, Topper, and Bringing Up Baby. In those films, he showed off his gift for physical comedy. He also dabbled in more serious flicks like Only Angels Have Wings, where he proved he could shine as a more grizzled, complex hero type. Grant escaped the Hollywood studio system. After Grant's initial contract with Paramount ended in 1935, he elected not to renew his contract with that or any other major studio. At that point, he became one of the first actors to break free from the Hollywood studio system. This move allowed him to negotiate deals where he'd receive a percentage of the box office sales instead of a flat fee up front. This calculated move led to him becoming one of the wealthiest actors in showbiz. In some cases, he was taking in up to 75% of a movie's profits while maintaining complete control over every project he signed on to. In 1939, he began production on Gunga Din, a film based on a poem by Rudyard Kipling. In that movie, he appeared on screen alongside his old role model, Douglas Fairbanks, and his son, Douglas Fairbanks Jr. The Bachelor Hall. From the early 30s through the 40s, Grant lived on and off with fellow actor Randolph Scott in an oceanfront home they called their Bachelor Hall. Over the years, this unique living arrangement has inspired much speculation about Grant's sexual orientation. Some argue the arrangement was purely a matter of economics, while others contend it was a cover-up for a more intimate romantic relationship. Regardless, this wasn't the only time his living arrangements would be questioned. For years after arriving in America, Grant lived with an openly gay costume designer named Ori Kelly until the two had a falling out. Hitchcock's agent of fortune. Throughout the 40s and 50s, Grant enjoyed a close working relationship with Alfred Hitchcock. During this time, Hitchcock cast Grant in 4 of his films: Suspicion, Notorious, To Catch a Thief, and North by Northwest. The dramas, Notorious and North by Northwest, were met with critical acclaim, and in Suspicion and Notorious, Grant played these dark, morally ambiguous characters. Towards the end of his career, he was praised for being a romantic leading man. He received 5 Golden Globe nominations for Best Actor, including for That Touch of Mink and Charade. He's best remembered by critics and fans for his unusually broad appeal. He was remarkably handsome and suave, but at the same time didn't take himself too seriously. Following his divorce from Virginia Cherrill, he went on to marry 4 more times. He had a daughter with Diane Cannon, whom they named Jennifer. He retired from acting in 1966 and later represented the cosmetics firm Fabergé. He also sat on the board of MGM for many years. He died of a stroke on November 29, 1986 in Davenport, Iowa, at the age of 82. Since then, he's appeared on numerous lists of the best actors of the 20th century. The American Film Institute, for example, ranked him the second greatest male star of the golden age of Hollywood cinema in 1999, trailing just behind Humphrey Bogart. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that before he was a Hollywood film star, Cary Grant worked as an acrobat, and on the boat ride to the U.S. from Britain, he met and befriended Douglas Fairbanks? Let us know in the comments section below.